Okay, let's get started, and let me first wish you a good morning or even good afternoon, and thank you for taking the time to attend today's webcast, The Growth Engine B2B Tech Forgot HubSpot. My name is David Balzik. I'm the managing partner at Consulta, and I will be hosting today's webcast. Now, today's session will focus on advantages of using HubSpot to automate your B2B marketing and sales efforts, highlighting how it drives smarter engagement, faster execution, and measurable results. All three increasingly important in today's tech business. I hope this webcast provides you with fresh ideas, valuable insights, and best practices that can be applied to your market and your marketing efforts. Now, if you have any questions or comments, please post them to a Q&A board. We will monitor the board and respond to questions at the end of each section. Okay, now before we start with our, let's say, core topic for today, I just want to go through a couple of troubleshooting tips. Now, if you have any issues with the content stream, please rejoin the meeting. The same goes for audio stream. Please check if your speakers are unmuted. Should you hear an echo or a background noise, please put your microphone on mute and or rejoin the meeting. As mentioned before, please post your questions or comments to Q&A board. Now we are monitoring the board and will respond to questions at the end of each section. And of course, if for some reason you drop off the call or get disconnected, this also happens in the virtual world, please rejoin the meeting. Now, for those of you who are new to our webcast, let me just give you a very quick intro. We are Consulta, a performance marketing agency. I would say in this business of performance marketing for the last almost 10 years. We work exclusively with IT or tech companies, and I would say that with our services, we are quite or very active in the region of EMEA. I would say that with our approach, and I would say the style of doing business, we are very much driven by the results. We also like to be challenged. At the end of the day, there's a lot of skepticism, whether digital marketing, performance marketing really works in IT. And that's also one of the missions that we have. We want to prove that things work. We want to prove, that marketing can deliver good results. It just needs to be approached properly. What's the agenda for the next 25 minutes? We want to focus first on why HubSpot performs better than other platforms in B2B marketing. So our focus is going to be B2B and performance marketing, so basically lead generation. Then we want to highlight a couple of, let's say, insights or steps on how to start your marketing automation, let's say, / HubSpot journey. And why is this important? Then with our third topic, we are going to upgrade things a bit, we are going to provide a couple of insights on how to automate, how to score your reach, how you score your leads, how to enrich your leads. And at the end of the day, how to focus on what matters. Now, the last, let's say, the wrap-up topic is more about how to get started for a stronger 2026, where we also want to where we want to give you a bit of a guideline, but also, let's say, literally throw on the table couple of opportunities, where we could collaborate. And we also have a couple of gifts for the end. So that's pretty much what the last topic is going to be about. Now, before we proceed with our first topic, I also want to share a bit of a disclaimer. We are also a HubSpot solution partner agency. I'll try to deliver this session in a very unbiased way, because we are not partner only. We're not only HubSpot partner. We also have partnership with other let's say, marketing automation or sales automation platforms such as ActiveCampaign. We are also one of the first partners, of Microsoft marketing automation solutions. This was like back in probably 9 or even 10 years ago. But of course, we also work with other bigger tools such as Marketo, then it's Click Dimension. So there's a lot out there, so I'll also try to give you a bit of a benchmark. Okay, now let's start with our first topic, which is about why HubSpot performs better in B2B marketing. Now, if we want to discuss what is better with HubSpot, let's first align on what are typically what is typically the expectation of a marketing and sales automation platform. I would say that in a nutshell, the idea of marketing or sales automation is to automate repetitive and time-consuming tasks. So for example, sending out a follow-up email to 100 leads that have been generated in a campaign. I mean, if you are doing this manually, it could be quite time-consuming. And it's also about timing, making sure that we send the follow-up email at the right time. Then, of course, making sure that follow-up happens before the leads cool down. Sometimes one follow-up email, it's not enough. We want to send more. And of course, marketing automation platform would be handling this on, let's say, at a scale. A very important aspect commonly overlooked is also behavior-based engagements and nurturing of leads. So what does that mean? I mean, not all leads are born equally. Also, not all leads are pretty much expressing the same level of interest. Not all leads are basically engaging with our campaign in the same way. So it's very important that we, at the end of the day, provide them what they want. And if the tool is capable of reading such behaviors, then we can also provision, set it up in a way that people always, or let's say leads always receive the follow-up they find most valuable. So it's not just about saying like, okay, whomever registered for our event should receive a follow-up email in a day. But of course, if this person is, for example, a CIO or IT manager or finance manager, I mean, they should probably receive a bit different follow-up email than someone that is working, for example, in marketing or sales. That's just like, I mean, related to their demo factors. But of course, if we also consider the fact that somebody registered, and then maybe checked 5 other pages, it would be good to consider such behavior in our follow-up. Then, of course, automated behavioral analysis and lead scoring. So that's something, that I would say it's a very important aspect of professional marketing, automation, and sales platforms. Because at the end of the day, it's not just about the actions, it's also about decisions. So if we have a capability of data analysis, of data management, that is, I would say, very helpful, when we are, of course, planning out, like our upcoming campaigns. Automated actions for SQLs, MQLs, and opportunities. Now, I'm mentioning this one because to some extent, each should actually receive a different follow-up. Of course, with MQLs, we want to nurture further. With SQLs, we want to pass them to a sales team. Opportunities, this needs to be followed up immediately. So at the end of the day, the marketing automation platform should have, let's say, a feature or capability of driving, different contacts in different directions on the basis of their maturity. Then opportunity transition to sales with context, I would say a very important aspect. Why is that? Why is that? Because to some extent, how things work in 80% is that marketing generates something, they put it in a nice Excel spreadsheet, and then they pass it to sales. And a lot of context is lost with that, because when sales teams, or let's say tele teams, when they get such Excel spreadsheet, I mean, they do not have all the history of the contact, the context of how this contact was generated or how this lead was generated, what was basically what was the interaction before. So they could actually have a meaningful discussion and not kind of just blindly reaching out to leads that generated in the campaign of marketing. So this capability of transferring the leads, opportunities, and SQLs, to sales with context is very important. Consistent ROI view throughout through the pipeline, having single source of truth, like definitely a very important one. And the last one, I would say probably the most important one, and this is where we have a huge difference between, for example, HubSpot and 90% of the tools out there, that you shouldn't need to be an IT expert to use it. So look, the idea of the marketing automation platform is for marketers to use it without any IT support. Because whenever you start involving IT support or IT to actually build some comprehensive reports, to build some comprehensive workflows, things take too much time because they're super busy. You get your ticket, you need to wait. So, I mean, this should not be the case. So the tool should be intuitive enough, easy to use enough, transparent enough for marketers without any IT background to use it. And this is where I would say HubSpot has a huge advantage. I would even say that probably the UX, how things are connected together, you know, like unified automation throughout CRM, so Sales Hub, CRM, Marketing Hub, analytics, you know, that, I mean, it's really delivering a seamless experience, a customer-centric experience without complexity that you are typically used to when you're using marketing or sales automation platforms. And I can tell you that as an agency, we probably so far tested or tried more than 10. Okay, now, I don't want to deliver this presentation from perspective of HubSpot features and benchmarking this with different tools, because I don't think that that's the main reason why one would actually consider HubSpot. I actually want to do it from a different perspective on how HubSpot can actually support your typical performance marketing or campaign execution. And this is like where I want to outline a bit of how or what we see as a typical marketing campaign flow. And then I'll just kind of add a layer, you know, of how different steps are supported with HubSpot. But typically, I would say every performance marketing campaign starts with the conversion stage. So what is a conversion stage? This is where we, I would say, create ads, create mailers, we create a landing page, a registration page, a demo page, a trial page, or something in these lines. And then through our ads or VR ads, you know, or email, we drive people to this registration page, which of course has a form. And we, I mean, hopefully we expect them to fill out their contact details and request more information or register for an event, for example. So this is so-called conversion stage. This is where, I mean, I would say the main and only objective is to get someone interested, capture their contact details, capture their consent for further follow-up. However, in B2B, people typically don't, I mean, you don't change people's minds and hearts just with, let's say, with one step. It's not transactional. Typically, it's a journey, you know, to get someone engaged. So that's why we are adding the second step, which some of you might be a bit surprised to have here, because typically people say, yeah, then you need to go like push them into a nurturing stream in like in a series of couple of mailers. But I'm intentionally adding this enrichment step because it's also a very strong functionality of HubSpot. And I think it's super needed and mandatory, and like it has to be there. So what's the idea of enrichment? The idea of enrichment is simply to say like, okay, somebody left his or her contact details on the form. We have the name, surname, email, job function, phone number, email. I mean, I mentioned email, company name, maybe even company size. But that, I mean, is this really enough? I mean, does that really gives us enough information to follow up with someone? I mean, I would not say so. Yes, job function is good to have there. But the enrichment means, you know, that we use an engine. And again, in the era of AI, you know, such engines are out there, which would actually scan the market a bit and check what's this list about. Okay, maybe we kind of capture some additional information about the revenue of the company. We capture some additional information about, I don't know, the business of the company. But then we can also capture some additional information about the person itself. So maybe we see that this lead is actually quite outgoing, you know, because the person is speaking at different events, or it's very, I mean, he or she is very, let's say, active on different forums or something in these lines. So the idea is to kind of enrich the data a bit. Now, why is this important? Because the more data we have about the prospect, I mean, the more we can tailor further interactions and make it more relevant, or make those, you know, more relevant for the lead. And that's basically where we reach the the step number 3. It's engagement. Now we have the contact details, we have their consent to be followed up, we also enrich the data, and now it's time to start communicating with them. Where of course, we have some nurturing mailers. I'm also adding this one, hard conversion. So one email should be a bit more demanding so we can test their interest. But at the end of the day, that's not that new. This is what we've been doing for quite some time. And then we have the step number 4, which is qualification, which is a bit like, okay, is this lead warm enough to be passed to sales, or do we need to nurture further? Is this lead hot enough to be followed up immediately? So this is where we want to take all this gathered data about, from initial registration, enrichment, the responses, to nurture mailers, put them all together and qualify. And typically qualification would be basically conducted, by assigning a score, a number to the lead. And then at the end, we have the last step, which is like, okay, if the lead is warm enough, we would directly pass it to sales. If not, we would actually pass it to a marketing team to kind of, in a way, nurture further. Now, I'm presenting all of this because, in a nutshell, this is how we typically work in performance marketing. And now let's look on how can HubSpot support the actions so we don't spend let's say, a lot of time, and then do a lot of manual work on all these steps. Because, let's say with a professional marketing and sales automation tool, all these steps up to the step number 5 can be automated, which saves a lot of time, it saves a lot of money, it saves a lot of resources, and it definitely justifies the investment into the tool. Now, if we look into the first conversion stage, here what HubSpot is offering is ads, email manager, so basically a way to actually set your ads, track your ads within HubSpot. The same goes for emails. Then we have content manager, where we can create our landing pages, our registration pages, even our demo pages, and of course track the engagement on the page. Then for the next step, for the enrichment, we have data, and of course we are living in an era of AI. We also have, let's say, AI agents manager, where we can enrich the data of leads, and of course we can also use AI to structure the data. Then we have automation manager, which is basically, it's related to creation of workflows, creation of sequences, where we can preset the mailers, the tone of voice of the mailer, customization of the mailer, personalization of the mailers. Then we have scoring manager, where we create a lead scoring model, where we also can use, especially with latest additions to HubSpot, also AI to score your leads, take into consideration the history that you have in your HubSpot. And then at the end of the day, when things transition to sales, we have Sales Hub. Now, everything that I described up to the point of Sales Hub is HubSpot Marketing Hub. So it's basically one tool or one hub, or let's say one platform that can cover all these steps that are, in my opinion, mandatory for successful or effective performance marketing in B2B. So everything is well connected in one tool. Sales Hub is basically just a new menu that pops up, of course, once you activate it in HubSpot. So even this is where things become super connected. But since HubSpot started with Marketing Hub, I'm just kind of giving you a bit of an overview. So everything up to the point of selling is covered by HubSpot Marketing Hub. Now, just to kind of wrap up this first part. So there's a lot of advantages that HubSpot is bringing in comparison to traditional CRM setups, or even not just CRM, but traditional marketing automation setups. I will not go through all of this. We'll also share this deck later on, because I really don't like these feature-to-feature comparisons. But it kind of goes through different areas, from integration, automation, data visibility, also AI enablement. And don't get me wrong, there are out there, for example, lead scoring tools that will provide you with pretty much the same comprehensiveness of lead scoring as what you have in HubSpot today, but it's an isolated app for lead scoring only. So you need to integrate it with your either Salesforce, Marketo, I don't know, Click Dimensions, Active Campaign, or something in these lines. So, which, I mean, it's not just about the integration, it's also about then how the data is managed. So I would say that for all this fundamental, I mean, I don't want to say fundamental, but let's say for this comprehensive marketing teams needs, you know, and like the features that they typically need, I would say that HubSpot is an all-in-one suite, you know, that really, I would say, serves the purpose, you know, and supports the marketing teams in full. Now, let me also give you, I mean, for those of you who are a bit more new to marketing automation platforms, how the journey typically starts. Now, it typically starts with automation. And I can tell you this, I mean, also, I mean, that's my experience, you know, working with our clients, you know, and also, I mean, related to the reasoning behind one has when they start considering marketing automation platforms, like how to automate some emails, how to make sure that when we have an event on a particular day, how to make sure that a day after the event, the thank you emails go out to everyone automatically. And then a week after the event, we have the first follow-up, but only to those people that have not been, I mean, that have not respond, you know, to the thank you email after the event. So all these conditional automations, or this is like what is typically the first step. This saves a lot of time. Also ensures, you know, that actions are conducted on time. And of course, once your teams are not busy with sending out mailers on a one-on-one basis, or even through some distribution list, you know, and then, you know, you cannot exclude people on different conditions. It also allows, I mean, once this is taken care of, you know, by the platform, you have more time to focus on other things that, believe me, are more important than sending out follow-up emails. So how does this typically look like? I mean, I'm just going to give you a couple of visuals. So for this first step, you know, when it comes to conversion and enrichment, once we reach this part, you know, once we have things ready for the workflows, what you have in the center of this slide is pretty much, I mean, this is basically the workflow editor in HubSpot. It's very intuitive, and that's, I would say, one of the main advantages of HubSpot, because it works like Lego blocks. So you literally are, I mean, it works on the basis of drag and drop. Okay, I want to send my follow-up email to all people that attended the event, but then I also want to send a different one to all people that registered but did not attend. And then for those that opened the first one, I don't want to send the second one. All these are some conditions that are, in a way, you know, like preset in HubSpot. So you just need to kind of drag the boxes a bit and set your logic. Now, one of the advantages of HubSpot here, in comparison to other tools, is also the triggers. So it's, besides those standard triggers on the job function, the company size, somebody registered for something, they would also, I mean, they also support some behavior-driven triggers, which is like, okay, somebody opened an email 3 times, or somebody checked the registration page after the event, or somebody did something else. So you can actually, I mean, HubSpot is capturing such behaviors, and you can actually set some triggers also, I mean, on the basis of that. It's not just about automation, because that's just one part of the story. It's also about reporting. So smart automation should be also followed up by a smart reporting, where you can literally track the path for each and every lead. What I mean by path, imagine, you know, that each and every lead kind of flows a bit through this decision tree. But then for each and every lead, you can actually check where they stopped, why they stopped, for example. And then, of course, it's not just things on a lead per lead basis. You can also track things, you know, I mean, you can also track, you know, your, I mean, behaviors, or let's say responses for a group of leads, you know, per campaign, etc. And of course, benchmark the data, which is something that you have on the bottom of this slide. So how did the first follow-up email perform? How did the second one perform? What were the issues? So all of this is tracked, captured by HubSpot, and can be reported later. Okay, now if we switch the gears a bit and try to kind of add additional layer to this first step, which is typically automation. So the idea is like, okay, yes, we want to set up everything. We want to make sure that HubSpot is tracking everything. We want to automate our outreaches. We want to, apply a high degree of personalization. But then, of course, once leads run through the process, we want to see how successful we were. Like, is there like any meat on the bone? Do we have any opportunities? And this is where the scoring comes in place, where HubSpot, besides what you would typically see in other tools, demographic, firmographic criteria that they would allow for scoring, HubSpot is also allowing behavioral analysis, or let's say, scoring on the basis of behaviors, which is like, it's not just about saying, hey, if somebody has a very prominent job title, they should get a bit higher score. If somebody is coming from a bigger organization, they should get a bit higher score. But it's also, if somebody has a good title, a good company, but we see that they're engaging with our campaign, with our emails, they're checking the pages, they're clicking the links, they should get an even higher score. So basically, you can literally like set different criteria that are based on the behaviors of prospects or leads, and then of course also score those behaviors. So this is the other part of our story, and this is where things become a bit more comprehensive in HubSpot. But for those of you who are not familiar with scoring, the idea is that you associate a certain number of points to each and every action. Here's a simple example: somebody downloading the ebook, somebody, clicking the CTA in an email, somebody requesting a follow-up call. And of course, once they do it, you actually report back to sales. Hey, I have somebody that actually reached the score, of 50 by requesting a follow-up call. You guys actually follow up immediately. And what you then see in HubSpot, you basically see your list of leads, and they actually have a lead score assigned to them. So for every lead, you have a certain score. And then you also define criteria a bit, like if the score is 0 to 20, it's very, I would say, this is not, it's a cold lead. If it's from 20 to 40, it's a warm lead. If it's from 40 to, 100, it's a hot lead. And again, these scores are then used in some logic to automatically direct leads into different directions. For example, if it's more than 40, the lead will be passed automatically and the sales team is going to be notified to them. If it's 20 to 40, it's going to be nurtured further. If it's less than 20, we most likely want to disqualify such lead. So, and again, that's a functionality, a well-working functionality in HubSpot. So you don't need to do this manually, because you have to understand it's not the case that people open the email at a time when they receive it. Some people might open it like in 3 weeks. If this happens, then if we only track what happens a couple of days after the lead was exposed to a nurture email, then we're going to miss this, but the platform won't. So they would be constantly, the platform would be constantly evaluating the behaviors of the leads, and of course reporting back on the leads that are reaching a certain threshold. Okay, now what is, I would say, what is the advantage of HubSpot in comparison to other tools? I already mentioned a couple. I would say that one of the biggest additions in the last couple of months is basically AI-based scoring, which brings, basically literally brings things to a different level, because at the end of the day, it's much more accurate. It also captures a lot of, if you of course have such data in HubSpot, it's kind of constantly learning on a basis of like, okay, this lead has been converted into a deal. Let me analyze how this happened, and then let me prioritize those activities when I'm assigning a score that actually led the lead, to closure. And at the end of the day, it's constantly learning, and not just constantly learning, but also constantly refining the scoring model. So that's something, that I would say where HubSpot went well beyond what you can see in most other marketing automation platforms. Okay, now just to wrap up things a bit, I know that we are already 3 minutes over the scheduled time, so I'll be very quick here. The first minute of my extension, a bit of a myth busting of HubSpot. HubSpot is too expensive. That will be a bit of a surprise for you because most people are not aware of that, because HubSpot was always perceived as very expensive, but basically you can actually use HubSpot for 15, I mean, they added this starter option some time ago, for 15 euros per month per seat without any annual commitment, which was the requirement before. So it's 15 euros per month per seat. So if you're starting with HubSpot, it's a great option. You get Marketing Hub Starter, Sales Hub Starter, Service Hub Starter, Content Hub Starter, pretty much everything that I listed in my journey before. You need to commit for a year, not anymore. You can also opt in for a monthly payment. It's difficult to start. I would say HubSpot is probably one of the tools that require a really minimum amount or minimum time of onboarding. It's not as powerful as other marketing automation platforms. Couple of, let's say, references from different companies about, that actually migrated from other tools to HubSpot. And I can tell you, we even worked with some companies that are multinationals that are using HubSpot as their core marketing automation platform. It lacks proper CRM functionality. That's not the case. HubSpot did a lot of progress in the last couple of years in the, let's say, on the sales and CRM side. It doesn't integrate well with other platforms. Not true. You have your marketplace. So far, and we work with HubSpot for several years, we always found a solution or an app or an integration, that solved the problem. Now, the last one, how to get started for a stronger 2026. If you're ready to improve your engagement and marketing performance 2026, book your HubSpot demo, no strings attached. We are going to demo the platform for you. Email my colleague Nina. She's also on this session today. And then we are offering what we are offering is 3 HubSpot starter and POC bundles for 3 months. The subscription is on us. So we will cover the subscription for a starter for 3 months. We will also run this POC with you for 3 months. We have POC for December 30th. And at the end of the day, the only condition here is that it also includes predefined success criteria for commercial deployment. With other words, we'll jointly set some criteria. If this criteria is met, then we expect you to continue with commercial deployment. So basically, you start paying your subscription, and of course, we also support you with the full deployment. So that's basically the only criteria that we have here. This offer is also going to be served on a first come, first served basis. We send an email immediately after the session. This is going to be considered as a bit, let's say, you will be the first in the queue. And of course, if you don't need any further support or something, check our ideas, resources here. We are sharing a lot of content, we are running a lot of webcasts on different topics, related to performance marketing. Now, with that said, I would really like to thank you for your time. Also, apologize a bit, for running this a bit over the time, but hopefully you like the session. Hopefully you find the insights useful, and I'm already looking forward to meet you at any of our upcoming sessions. Thank you very much and have a great rest of the day. Bye-bye.